Good afternoon, folks. Welcome into episode number 34 of Clark After Dark. As we're coming in this week, expecting to have the winner of the 30,000 win Spring Nationals, the King of the Hill, and he's not here. I wonder why he's not here. Well, everybody already knows because Mother Nature sucks. That's all there is to it, folks. And I've been pretty downtrodden about it. We'll get into this a little bit more as I bring on my guest. We're not gonna bring him on just yet. We're gonna bring him on here in just a second. But before we gotta get our mojo going tonight. The only way to do that is listen to one of the greatest songs of all time. If you don't like Stranglehold by Ted Nugent, I'm sorry about your luck, folks. But this is how we're getting it tonight. We're gonna fire off to some Ted Nugent, folks. To the moon we go, into some dirt track talk we come. Cortland Smith, he's on the other end of the line in Alexandria, Louisiana. We're going to bring him in right now. Cortland, are you ready for Clark After Dark this week, my boy?
We're ready, cuz. We're ready.
You know what? You can call me corny. You can call me this and that. I got my phone out. I'm playing Stranglehold. And one thing about me, you know, I don't give a damn. I'm not a beaver. I don't give a damn. I will tell you that. All right, Cortland. All right, baby. Here we go. We'll cut that off. We just got done watching Bobby Pierce win at LaSalle, right? Phenomenal night of racing. It wasn't the fact that Bobby Pierce just won this race and it was a phenomenal race. It's the fact that I watched a racetrack come back tonight, like you heard Dustin Jarrett, you heard Ben Shelton talk about it. LaSalle is back. Like, dude, how cool is that to see a racetrack in their first night back? What they say, 4 years? I mean, 4 years is still 4 years of you not racing at all. Like, not on a Friday or a Saturday, any. They have not raced. This track has been closed down tonight, Cortland. They hit a home run. What a crowd. What an event. The racing was great. The track was phenomenal. Flow Racing Night in America tonight, man, hit it out of the ballpark, dude. A phenomenal field of racers, top tier talent. Not sure what more you asked for. Pierce wins his 12th of the year, man, and it was a showcase.
For LaSalle Speedway to come out like this, it's absolutely phenomenal. You know, you can imagine all the pressure in the world is on their shoulders when they started the night. I believe they said the only other event they've had so far this year was a test session, you know, so to come out like this and to have one of the premier series of dirt track racing, one of the premier series of racing in the country, let alone to show up first night out. And man, there was not a single lap of action that it was not a competitive racetrack. Like there was haymakers being thrown. The friends list got a lot shorter. Just everything involved, man. What a show. What a crowd. Way to bring a racetrack back. Way to bring a racetrack back in style, Illinois.
There's a few different ways I wanted to kick this podcast off tonight, and I just thought about it kind of late in the going. Again, I don't ever have a great structure for how this thing's going to go. I told you last minute, I said, look, man, with seeing how LaSalle went tonight, I feel like I need to kick off the show talking about that, because what I was planning to talk about was we have a list, and we're going to pull this list up. We're going to completely recap what happened with late models over the weekend. We're going to get to this list in a second and kind of tie that in, Cortland, with what we were talking about with LaSalle, with that great resurgence tonight. As we had a lot of racetracks on this same weekend. I have a screenshot we're going to share in a minute. It's from 10 years ago. But again, it's already up on the screen, so we'll just talk about it. So, look, this is from 10 years ago. My buddy Bill Kitchen, from April the 30th of 2016. This is the same date Wednesday night high-limit sprint cars were scheduled to be in town at Texarkana 67 Speedway with Kyle Larson and all the many great people. I sent you this screenshot, and I was like, dude, look at this list. This is all the racetracks that were rained out for that weekend. There was only 3 racetracks still remaining racing. Kennedale Speedway Park, who also this past weekend was one of the remaining tracks racing 10 years after the fact, right? Southern Oklahoma Speedway, I'm not sure if they race this weekend, and obviously we know Devil's Bowl Speedway's demise, over the last couple of years, as it's no longer open. And we look at all the tracks that not only that were rained out that weekend, but just look over this list, Cortland, of all these racetracks. And what stood out to both of us was how many of these racetracks are no longer in operation. And I was like, wow, like what a great conversation piece for all these racetracks that are now closed. But we just saw what LaSalle Speedway did tonight. How many of these racetracks, I mean, do you see any of these racetracks? Like, I thought about it. Lone Star Speedway tried it a little, right, a couple years ago. Like, maybe they could try again if they had the right people in charge. But do you see a list on this of all these tracks that could potentially have a resurgence, like in the similar way we saw with LaSalle tonight, or a track could just get back in operation? Any of these that you could see that being a possibility?
The one right off the top of anybody's head when they look at this list, you got to see I-30 Speedway and just the history and everything with I-30 Speedway. Now, of course, it's been demolished, and I believe everything's gone, like all the track and everything's been demolished, smoothed over. But like I-30 Speedway automatically jumps out as just the short track nationals, all the late model races, the Rockabilly with the Comp Cam series and stuff like that. That one's immediately an eye catcher, and then Battleground Speedway, man, there was a lot of big races that were ran at Battleground back in the day, and I don't know what that property looks like exactly right now. And then, you got 171 Speedway close to my house. There's a couple of those that you would wish could still be operating, because you feel like if they were given another chance to resurgence, that we could have a turnout like this at LaSalle. If given the right opportunity. I know, like, man, even Timberline, like, when you sent the message, I said, just
Yeah,
like all these tracks that are closed down, like when we pointed it out, all very few of these racetracks can you sit there and go, man, we really don't want that place to be back open, because we know we want all racetracks to
right.
be open. But man, there's every single one of these racetracks have their own characteristics that it's like, man, you miss it, and but I guess long story short, before I ramble down my rabbit hole, I
No, it's fine.
37 or I-30 Speedway, 171 Speedway, man, I feel like it never got a fair shake. Just the facilities and the track and everything that was there. I feel like it never got a fair shake. My dad, he promoted it there for a year, and gave it what we could, and didn't work out. But that's one that I feel like that if given a chance to come back and really put on some shows, it would be one that could get it done.
See, and what I find interesting is we look through it. I think there's more racetracks that are closed now that are on this list that
Closed.
aren't, right. And keep this up on the string, because I want to really go through them. So let's go through this. Diamond Park Speedway. We're going to get to them in a moment. They had one of their best car counts in quite some time this past weekend. 81 cars in the pits. That's pretty good for them. Gator Motorplex in Willis no longer open. I-30 Speedway no longer open. Thankfully, Tri-State Speedway, I announced there last year for the 99 Nationals. It's open now. Leesville 171, you just hit it. I think the Bayou Bash your dad put on there, Garrett Alberson won the late model feature, and you see what he's able to do now. He was driving for Children's Fishing and Reels at the time. And I'm going into this because, as you said, all these different places have some memories and different things, just, even memories just to guys like you and I. But I promise you, there's a lot of people and race fans that are close to those areas that have something near and dear to their hearts with all these racetracks. And I guarantee you, if any one of them decided to come back, the town would be happy about it, right? So Timberline Speedway, obviously, Cotton Bowl was just rained out. Great that they're still running. 85 Speedway is now known as Big O Speedway, of course, in Ennis. That sat dormant for a couple of years. Timberline Speedway hasn't operated since 2019, I believe, right? 2019. And it still sits there over in Corley, Texas. It'll be cool to see if somebody did something with it. Super Bowl is now known as Hunt County Raceway. Battleground Speedway at Highlands. Now, that's a track, Cortland, that hosted World of Outlaws sprint car shows, World of Outlaws late models. Battleground. Did you ever have an opportunity to go to Battleground Speedway?
I did. I got to go race there one time in the last year that it was open. I think a couple weeks later they shut the doors officially. I got to go there one time. We did our chasing races on about this time of the year in April, where we were headed to Chatham, rained out, then we were headed to 105 Speedway. I hot lapped at 105 Speedway. It rained out at 105, and then we headed to Battleground, and I caught the back of the heat race. And it is cool to say that I did get to race there on the last year that they were, or the last time they were open.
Absolutely, I'd love to see Battleground come back. I obviously don't. I think the everything's still there. I'm not sure about the facility or if the racetrack, but it'd be cool to see. Obviously, that place come back because it has a great history there. East Texas Speedway is now known Rocket Raceway Park, of course, in Petty, Texas, owned by RaceON, Chris David, all the great folks there, and they're having a great season. Obviously, we're still upset about the Christopher Bell 410 sprint car race getting rained out this past weekend, along with everybody else. I was heartbroken this past weekend. That's why we're just kind of going through the list. I wasn't really sure what we are going to talk about tonight, but all these racetracks are interesting. Warren, Arkansas Speedway. I'm trying to remember that one's not open anymore for sure, right?
No, it's not
Yeah.
open no
Okay.
more.
I didn't think it was renamed to anything else. So Baton Rouge Raceway still runs down in Baker, Louisiana each week, and Grayson County is still open, of course. But man, look, we've lost a lot of racetracks, man. We've lost a few racetracks, and it's sad. So man, it's really important that you guys get out there and support them, man. We'd love to see a lot of these places ever potentially have a grand resurgence like we saw out of LaSalle. The likelihood or the possibility of that happening, Courtney, we know are very slim to none. But we can still dream, and our hopes can still be held high.
Yes, it can for sure happen, man. It just, I think so many people get into this promoting deal and think it's going to be a 1 year shebang, and they're going to be able to have packed out grandstands, and they think they're going to have a turnout like LaSalle. And I think one thing that a lot of people got to realize that it's a building process. There's going to be kinks that they got to work through. And luckily, LaSalle, the Tom Izzo, like the Izzo family, they've ran the racetrack before. They know what to do. They know how to do it. And it's just for people, a lot of promoters that get these racetracks and try to bring a resurgence, not saying they don't know what they're doing, but there's just a lot more to it than what 95% of the average people think. I mean, they don't think about hamburger sales or rain out, just, man, I can make 1,000 lists of everything that happens. But in general, all them areas, that the racetrack's closed, there's no racing action to be found. So you got to figure that there is a fan base there that would love to see it happen, and given the right opportunity and chance and give it a couple weeks to build, that they could have a very big resurgence.
Absolutely. It'd be neat to see, and the track we start off is at the top of that list, Diamond Park Speedway. You can see all their social media and their posts. We were live from there. RaceON was live from Diamond Park this past weekend. They had 81 cars in the pits, led up by the USRA factory stocks. I believe they had 23 cars in the pits. And Keaton Atkinson, who was coming to race at Boot Hill for 30K, obviously had to change up the approach in the ball game as Neil Kemp had a side pot and ended up leaving, I think, with over $1,500 for his win. But a lot of people have been wondering what Atkinson's going to do. He saw that little sample at 67 Speedway, and he was fast. And how about a lot of guys traveling? Sonny Chofin, Richard George Jr. Man, there was a lot of cars you don't typically see at DPS that were down at Diamond Park. Everywhere was rained out. We were heartbroken. And there's guys that, man, they just want to race, right? Like Tupper and the Williams brothers. Guess what, Cortland? They were also at Diamond Park.
They were there
because them dudes race. They race.
Racers race. It doesn't matter who, what, why, when, or where. It just if a racetrack's open and they got the ability and the funds and can go do it, and man, they go do it. And we need those people. Like Diamond Park Speedway probably had there's going to be one of their best nights of the year because of that, because guys are willing to travel to track that they probably never been to before. I don't think Sonny Schofield will ever go back to not they won't go back because of bad reason. I'm just saying the way the circumstances laid out, it's guys like that you would never ever be there in any other circumstance that showed up and be able to put on a show for the fans, man. You got to respect to those guys, man. Like, you racers race, they show up no matter who, what, why, when, or where, and all the respect goes out to them dudes that stayed around and found a racetrack to race at this weekend.
Yeah. I'm glad the seas parted for them and they had a good night, man. Their stands were packed full, and they seemingly been trying everything they can to get that place turned around. And I'm happy to see it, man. I called a Comp Cam Super Dirt Series event there in 2015, and Jack Sullivan won. But I was impressed, man. It was tacked up, it was hooked up all night, man. But it was a good race. I mean, I would say Jack pretty well dominated, but I remembered the visit anyway, and it was a good time indeed. So look forward to potentially getting back there sometime. If y'all haven't seen it, go back and check it out. Well, I mentioned Keaton Atkinson because with the rain out of the 30,000 this past weekend, I'm interested to see who's going to win factory stock races over this next month for drivers who we're going to potentially see race for this 30,000 at Boot Hill. We have a whole more month now, 4 more weeks to just kind of chew this up and spit this out. Like, I'm not sure we could have talked about this anymore, right? Like, we beat the horse dead on the 30,000, and here we go. We get rained out. We're back to square one. But, so we have all the hitters because, man, I feel like it was wide open. I feel like maybe now we're going to have more of a clearer picture going into the race of who's going to really find some speed over the next month, man. There's going to be a lot of guys that are really trying to find that extra edge before we go into this race because, hey, they didn't know they were going to get some extra time. But, man, a lot of guys are going to take advantage of this extra time.
It adds a whole nother month of racing, of testing, whatever they want to go do for the next however many days we got, 24 days, for the next 24 something days that they got to go find speed. I guarantee they're going to go find it. And I will say, we talked about it a little bit. Keaton Atkinson, I jokingly said with you, the whole state, I feel like the whole state of Arkansas is on Keaton Atkinson. And it's pretty cool to see that a lot of people are getting into this. And it stinks that we rained out. I know we beat it. Like you said, we beat the dead horse, but it just keeps on building hype, man. It's going to keep on building hype. And I feel like we're going to keep on building up, and hopefully it's a good show.
Yeah, man, you did. You said, like, you was like, dude, Arkansas's riding with Keaton Atkinson, like, till the wheels fall. I said, oh, dude, he brings a fan club. Like, he's got a following for sure. Back when he first started his career at 67, you could always hear his mom in the crowd, go, baby, go. She's gonna hear this and kill me. But no, they're great people, man, and he's a wheel, man. Like, watching him, I always talked about. He used to follow the tire tracks of Drew Armstrong. listen, he performed well at Diamond Park, but I want to see it happen at Boot Hill. I mean, like, not for me. Like, he doesn't have to come out and prove anything to me. This young man has proven time and time again he can wheel anything before tires and steering wheel. But like we always say, I mean, coming to Boot Hill against 145 plus vehicles, or I call them vehicles, against 45 competitors or race cars, whatever. It's a whole different ball game, you know. And Keaton doesn't have laps at Boot Hill in his career; never has raced there before, so. It's going to be it's going to be interesting. But if anybody can figure it out, it'll be him. I'm interested to watch him along with so many other drivers, right? Really figure Boot Hill out who have never raced there before, and that'll be interesting along with itself, right?
Oh, 1,000%. It's such a mixed bag of guys that are showing up, and we hit on it before. Just it's gonna be insane, man. It's almost as if I'm speechless because it's just still, like I said, another month of hype we get to go, and all the guys. Hopefully, man, I hope everybody can be able to make the rescheduled date, and I'm 95% sure if it's a 30,000 win stock car race, they're going to find a way to get there. So, like you said, guys like Keaton Atkinson, he proved this weekend that at Diamond Park, and there was a couple guys there, Chase Hatton, I believe, Ricky Ingles, Neil Kemp. There were guys there that are Boot Hill regulars that are pretty consistent, pretty fast, that he outran, and just it makes you wonder how many more guys like that are going to show up and just make this even that much better.
Man, I had an undisclosed car owner reach out to me the other day and said a particular driver wasn't able to show up now because he's got another obligation, another commitment, a race up in Iowa, which starts June the 1st at Clay County, the track that we just saw on TV last night that was on IMCA TV. And that was exciting, by the way, if you didn't see that. Anyway, here I go. Squirrel. I get sidetracked from time to time. So he messaged me asking who's some badass drivers that could potentially wheel this race car. And I'm thinking outside the box, right? Like, and I can't think of really a whole lot of drivers who don't have a drive for this, or drivers who already don't have other commitments, right? Like, we already know Chase Hatton. Well, that was for the, I don't know what Chase has got on the reschedule now, right? Like, what does this do for Peyton Taylor? But anyway, so I said Dallin Murdy, like that for me. I know he can wheel a stock car. I would put Dallin Murdy in a stock car immediately. Like, if it were me, if somebody were saying, hey, who would you put in to drive my 30,000 to win stock car? And again, I'm just talking about drivers who don't have a ride, and outside the box, who have stock car experience. Man, that Dallin Murdy's a bad dude, and I'd love to see him down here potentially to win this race. And I'm not going to get too down the rabbit hole with this, but I don't know how it happened, Cortland. But man, my boy Big Sexy got thrown into the mix. I'm trying to tell you now.
I don't know what to say, man. I'm flattered. That's all I can say. My old cheeks getting red, man. It's cool. It's cool that I was even a consideration. I guess I make myself sound pretty smart on the podcast because I know it was partially through this that I kind of got an opportunity, but sadly I'm already signed down to be an employee of Boot Hill Speedway that weekend, sadly. But hopefully we can find them a better supplement, because I don't know if I'm not Dallin Murdy's status. So hopefully we can find somebody a little bit better than me to wheel it. But I tell you what, you give me a steering wheel and a gas pedal, I'll smash it and turn left. I can tell you that much.
Trying to tell you now. I didn't know I was going to bring all that up, but hey, here we are. This is Clark After Dark, baby. We talk about what we want around here. I'm telling you now. And hello, Chris David. I'm just saying hi as he rides down the road and listens to this podcast, perhaps tomorrow evening or at some time. I know he listens, so hello, Chris. Also, everybody's like, what the hell's going on now? I'm trying to get this baby back on track. I lost focus for just a second. That's just how we're honest here. And by the way, folks, I want y'all to know, I'm going to be real. Oh, do you have something, Cortland?
I was just going to try to get you back on track, but you go ahead. No, I was going to try to get you back on track, but go ahead.
There. Don't worry, I'll get us there. Don't you worry. I'm a quarterback this team. Okay, don't you worry. So this microphone that y'all see on the screen, if you're watching, if you're listening, sorry about your luck. I have been chasing this monkey for a minute. Okay, I have taken this microphone apart, put it back together. It's like a bad cell phone charger, right? The end of it just gets messed. I don't know. It's the wires are crossed somewhere. Let's just get to the story. It doesn't work when it needs to work. Thankfully, it's working right now, but I'm afraid if I bump it, it'll be the end of our night. So it's been a tough deal. So getting back on track to one of the final topics I wanted to talk about tonight, Cortland. But I do have a brand new microphone coming next week, is what I was getting to. So one of the things I really want to talk about was Cody Sumner with DRT Race Chassis, but obviously Cody Sumner, most people know his name. He's the promoter of the Gateway Dirt Nationals that everybody's so in love with. I didn't mean to say it like that. It's a great event. I mean, that's it. I love it too. It's a great event that Cody Summer puts on the Gateway Dirt Nationals every year in St. Louis, Missouri, at the Edward Jones Dome, where the Rams used to play. So he put out a post this week talking about potential drivers, talking about filling the seat for the Dirt Late Model Dream, $100,000 to win at Eldora, and putting somebody in the race car. I mean, he fabricated, Cortland, he put this car together himself, and he's going to put a driver in the wheel of this car and had drivers submit through Facebook their names. And man, I saw drivers' names like Emerson Axum. I saw a who's who list. So check it out right here on your screen. Pretty neat. He's going to give somebody an opportunity. But man, this is a pretty interesting list. And there's some even drivers who have experience at Eldora, like Jared Landers on here, Kent Robinson, just to name a few. But drivers that stand out to me are Mod Choose, like Zane DeVilbus, and like Jeff Bone Larson. Man, there's some really good ones in there. I would certainly put Tom Berry. Man, who do you see in that list that really strikes a nerve with you?
Tim Ward, 4T Dub, man. Tim Ward, I feel like he can wheel, man, and his driving style, I feel like would really fit around Eldora well. Another one, Jordan Grabowski, man. He's feel like he can win. He can win any night in a modified. You got to throw him out there, but then you hit it like a Brent Cruz and Emerson Axum, like get some more crossover between the open wheel world and the fender world. Like that would just be it would be interesting to see, just to see if there's these kids that are coming up, or I say kids, Brent Cruz, Emerson Axum, they've been racing for a while now. So, but just to see their crossover and their ability, like are they going to be the next Kyle Larson? Like, can they get in the late model and wheel it? Or are they just strictly just going to be open wheel guys the rest of their life? Stuff like that. And I think, man, it's even cool to see JJ Yeley on there, man. Like, why? Like, yeah. It's wild to me that JJ Yeley would even put his name, like, not, I say wild, like, that's just not a name that you would expect to be on the list. And he stuck out immediately to me. That would be absolutely awesome to see JJ Yeley get behind the wheel.
Yeah, here's the thing. You know this as well as I do. However, I've never been Eldora. You can't just show up to Eldora with no experience and expect to be competitive. However, a lot of these drivers on this list have experience racing, for a good portion of their career, and are very, very good in their respective divisions. Like you mentioned, Jordan Grabowski's a multi-time IMCA national champion. I mean, and then like Patrick Daniels even on this list. He's been wheeling these Southern State modifieds around here in Texas. He's on the list. I mean, I find this really interesting. And when I originally brought this up to you, I was thinking more outside the box, not just drivers that were really even particularly that were on this list. I was like, man, what sprint car driver would you actually like to see in a late model, though, right? Like just outside of this DRT situation, which is really a cool deal. I was like, man, I would really like to see shit like Tyler Courtney getting a late model one night. Like, how would that go for him, right? And we'll see what Tyler could do in a late model, right? I just always find these conversations interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean, Tyler Courtney raced a late model a couple times the year of the million, I believe. He raced for some, I can't think of his name. Gosh, dog it. Right. He did run a couple races, but yeah, it might have been. But maybe immediately at Eldora, just for the story, I think it would be absolutely cool for promotional side, media wise, all the attention. Like, get Logan Schuchart in this thing. Like, I don't think he's ever showed any want to drive a fender car, but the fact that he's won the Eldora Million in a sprint car, like why not put some, if you're going to think outside the box and you want a sprint car guy, like immediately when you ask that question, I thought of Logan Schuchart just because of the storylines. Like, we all love the stories in racing, and Logan Schuchart to get behind the wheel would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. I mean, we saw Donnie Schatz race a super late model some, like over the last 10 years. So he had a rocket car. There's been some that we've seen get in and dabble with it, but that is a really interesting list, right? Like Chase Holland's even on this list. I mean, Tom Berry. I mean, y'all can see it for yourself, but it's going to be. I'm excited to see who actually fills that seat. It might end up being a driver like Shannon Babb who has experience there, and maybe he, that's what Cody wants. He wants a driver like Shannon Babb who knows Eldora and knows that how to fill a race car to give him good feedback so he can better further that DRT program. Maybe that's what he's looking for.
if that's what he's looking for, you can't ask for much better than Shannon Babb. Like
Yeah.
you can't get no better than Shannon Babb. Really, like he can go down as one of the top 10 ever in dirt late model racing. And then you're talking about somebody to fill a car out. If you wanna test the absolute limits of the car, throw my boy 777 Jared Landers behind the wheel. If you want to find
Yeah.
out how fast
Jared
that thing can go,
Landers.
if you want to find out how fast that thing can go at one point or time or another, I promise you, Jared Landers will give her all he's got.
Joe Duval posted or commented on that post when it was put up the other day. He said Jared Landers just so I can hear James Essex say his name. Yeah,
You
that's
gotta
good.
love it.
So yeah, man. Look, I know the podcast squirreled a little bit tonight. We went here, we went there, back over here, and back over there. But guess what, man? I don't apologize to anybody. Like I knew that we were going to try to fill the void this week, man, because I feel like we should have been talking about who was going to or the winner. We had planned to have the winner of the 30,000 on. Obviously, we had to throw it audible. So it is what it is, man. But I was absolutely heartbroken that the race was rained out, but extremely happy, Cortland, that we were able to reschedule it so quickly. Just right down the road. So the vibe is still there and everybody's still excited about it. But man, absolutely heartbroken for everybody over at Rocket. Kevin, Rogers, everybody involved, along with Tim Crawley and Michael. And everybody, the whole staff at 67, man, we were highly anticipating all of these events. And if I could have attended all of them, I'd have liked to have been at Rocket too Friday. I'd like to have been at all three of them, right? But it's absolutely heartbreaking that they were all canceled. Well, one's rescheduled, obviously Boot Hill, and the others are just a little bit more difficult to do so. But man, so we just keep trucking along here. We're here to report, what happens around Arklatex area racing. There wasn't much to talk about this week. Obviously, Kennedale Speedway Park did get some action in, and I do apologize. I know I don't always talk about that neck of the woods, but I do care and I do love that area's racing. And I will talk about KSP more, but yeah, that we didn't have too many tracks around here racing, man. So to come on this week, there's just not a whole lot of just a little slim pickings to talk about. Obviously,
Well,
late model stuff going on, but yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Well, no, I mean, you stirred the pot last night, Zach, and you put a Facebook post out there talking about midweek
Okay,
racing. So
yeah,
let me ask you, what is your picture idea of this midweek idea that you got going on? You want to stir the pot? Let's talk about it a little bit. What's your picture perfect
man,
idea here? What you scheming up? What's in Zach Clark's brain? Let's get
man.
it out.
Man, I don't know if we need to do that right now. No, I,
Oh
I,
no.
because no, I even texted Bubba Jones about this yesterday, and he texted me back and said, "I ain't scared, cuz and he's not. I really feel like we could put on a weekly racing event. I'm not talking about throwing a bunch of them out there to begin with. I'm talking about just testing the waters to see about the possibility of this being something that could be a success. I think it can be a success. Why can't we do it? Why can't everybody else do it? They do it in Pennsylvania all the time throughout the week. I get it. It's hotter down here. I know weather's a gamble at this time of the year, but if we can schedule one or two earlier in the season around this time, then guess what? We could have got a race in maybe this last night. Who knows? Maybe we could have had a race scheduled last night. We didn't get the race all this past weekend. Hell, we weren't racing anywhere last night. Colin, it was raining its ass off. But you get what I'm saying. Uh,
Yeah.
it's man,
You don't know.
I love the idea. I love the idea of being able to race throughout the week here and there. I watch it on TV all the time, and I think it's a great opportunity for racetracks that don't typically get the showcase when everybody else is off for new eyes to get on your racetrack. And I think it's a great opportunity for a place like Boot Hill right now, who is really doing well and thriving in our eyes. And it's a great opportunity for other people to open up the door and see it for themselves as well. That's my take on it. And I'd love to see us have some weeknight events, whether that be factory stocks. I think you only can have two or three classes. But man, I'd love to see it happen.
Yeah, you don't know till you try, and if you look through your comments, you talk about the racing up there is just different. They're used to racing during the week and XYZ. And I'm one that I'm kind of like, I don't know if it'll work or not. But you're sitting here and you're talking about it, and at the end of the day, you don't know till you try. And has anybody really tried
Yeah.
around here to run on a Tuesday night in the middle of May? Last of my
Yeah.
recollection, no. So you don't know till you try, and that'd be the only way to do it. Is to try it out and see.
And I,
It,
no, go ahead. I kind
uh,
of disagree with some of the opinions on there too. That a lot of people say that I do agree absolutely down to the bone that some people say we run too many classes or we start, we need to start on time. Absolutely, 1000%. I agree with all those things. So if this race is done, this is all things that we are taking note of. Like, we're not going to schedule this race without having these things in mind. We know for it to be a success that we need to schedule this on time. But I think a lot of the takes on that post were factually correct. Rocket Raceway Park runs one of the most efficient shows around. I feel like the whole architects is getting grouped up and that we just run late as shit all the time. Listen, when you have 163 cars in the pits at Boot Hill, we typically start right around on time. It's hard, man. It takes time to hot lap cars. This is why I'm not a fan of hot laps. I absolutely hate hot laps. These guys have been racing for years. Minus the rookie sportsters, we don't need hot laps. Why do we do it? It helps the track get rolled in, Cortland. There's always a method to the madness and a reason why things happen the way they do in the fashion and the order they happen at the racetrack. And I wish things could get sped up and start quicker sometimes. But like, dude, 163 cars in the pits, it's going to take a little bit of time to roll through that. And I'll tell you what, dude, we have some of the best in the business that run a fast and a pretty damn efficient show. We're rocking and rolling, but we can do better, though. We can always do better.
Yes, you can always do better. And my I guess I'm playing devil's advocate here. Instead of midweek racing, like, why don't we try to race a little bit later in the year, like November, December? Like, I looked it up, when we was you see everybody's comments and everybody wants to put their opinion out there. Well, luckily I get to save mine and talk about it on here. But I looked it up, like the average high and the average low in November for the state of Louisiana is 72 degrees is the high and 53 degrees is the low. Now, how come we can't go out there and in November, which we do it, we got the what's the race at the end of November we run every year at Boot Hill? I can't think of the name.
Right,
of it.
it's the Ray Ingles. We have the Ray
Ray
Ingles
Ingles.
Memorial.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was the Turkey Nationals, but that was a Lone Star deal. So we took over the Ray Ingles deal. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, you would take that. I mean, we do it and have a really good turnout each year that they've done it so far. But if we race in a little bit later in November, it's not as hot. And we can take this, I call it the Votto outlook of racing, where you hot lap at 3:00 or 3:30. You hot lap, get that completely out the way. Tell the race fans don't even show up at 3:30. Like, this is strictly just a hot lap. And then we rework the track. And as soon as the sun goes down, which luckily we got technology, we can tell when the sun's going to hit this angle. And as soon as the sun is off the racetrack, not even go down, just as soon as the sun is off the racetrack, go straight to heat race action. And be like 6:45. Yesterday, the sun was off the racetrack. We're going to go racing at 6:45. Like, and then be done. You cut a whole hour of the program out, and then you strictly just race that afternoon. Like, I don't see why we can't race later in the year down here with the way the temperature is. And we're fighting all these rainouts early in the year. Like, it's just silly to really try to schedule some of these. I'm not saying it's silly to schedule third down and win factory stock race. I'm just saying we all know we're gambling with weather down here. You got to try. Like, where else are they going to put it? Racing's so stacked around here on weekends, and every other weekend's a big show. So it's hard to get it in, and you got to schedule races up here. But I'm just saying, we were talking about midweek racing and changing stuff up. Like, why can't we try to race in November? Heck, run the first 2 weekends in December. Like, what's it?
I agree.
You don't know till you try, like, and you can do it to where we start earlier.
Yeah, we used to have, we did the Winter Nationals. We did we had the Winter Nationals at Arcletex there for several years. It was USMTS. We didn't have any like weekly racing. I actually think the Rev has some races scheduled in November this year. So that'll be interesting to see. I think a lot of guys down in this area, Cortland, they're just accustomed to shutting down at, some of them at the end of August or September, and they're done, and they're ready to go hunt. They're ready to go hunting or whatever the case may be, and I, like my brother, I think my brother would even like to come out and watch the races sometimes. He's a former racer, but he's just up to his ears with my nephew's baseball right now. They were just traveling. They were in Beaumont last weekend. So there's just a lot of different things that people can do. A lot of racers have kids, and I mean, you see the ones that they dedicate a lot of that time over to them, with their sports. So it's just so many different things, man, that can take time. So that's why I feel like the weekly night events, which a lot of the sports parents will be like, it's not going to work for us, but for some people it might work great for them.
Practice.
It's just you never know. You never know, man. I just, man, I'd like to see it happen, and don't count it out. It could be a possibility. I've talked to Bubba about it. I've talked to Chris David. Now, I'm no promoter. I just have great ideas. And who says they're great? I do. I don't know. I like thinking outside the box. I just like thinking outside the box, man. I mean, that's really not that outside of the box. Other people are doing it. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Why can't we do it? Other people are doing it.
It's outside the box for down
flattery. We have really good racing that needs to be showcased. Like at Boot Hill, we we have we have too good a racing over there to only be racing once a month or twice a month, in my opinion. We got to take off for
Yeah.
everybody else around because we've got this cooperative scheduling and this and that. Like then that and that's a perfect time for maybe Architects to throw up a race in the middle of the week since Boot Hill's racing Saturday night and you can't race against them, right? Like I just would like to get to a place that's where we're we can all like
Yeah.
let's race a little more. Maybe not in the
Yeah.
dog days of summer. I'm not talking about in the middle of
No.
July and August. I'm not saying that. So anyway,
No.
I digress as the clock's about to strike 11 o'clock on the dot. Do you have anything additional that's on your mind this evening, sir?
Uh, no, just what kind of what we talked about. We like you said, it's Clark after dark, baby. We're just hitting it as it goes. Hey,
Yeah.
you asked me last week
Right
about
on.
what was better, World of Outlaws or Lucas Oil Series. Well, tonight at Flow Racing Night in America, 6 World of Outlaws were in the top 10 and only 3 Lucas guys. So what you gonna
Oh
say
my.
to that? Yeah,
It was pretty
yeah,
good. Yeah, it
yeah,
was a pretty good, and that was kind of the point I made last week. Like Lucas might be a little top heavy, but man, that Outlaws field is through and throughout. It's man, hey, let's give a quick shout out to my boy Drake Troutman tonight, huh? Drake Troutman looked pretty good out there. He's been looking really good. He sits currently
there
fourth
you
in
go.
outlaw points, but and he's leading
Yes,
the race. I mean, look, Bobby Pierce beat you, okay, and I mean,
yeah.
he got. Did he end up fading there later? Did he end up
Yeah,
second
he
or
got
what?
into the wall. No, 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 no.
Okay,
He
yeah, but
finished like 10th.
he
He
looked
got in the
great.
wall hard twice. Yeah, he looked great, man. Like it's gonna come. It's gonna come to him. Like when you're that fast and you're running up front, like they'll tell you when if you can qualify good, heat race good, and you start up front, like it's gonna eventually come. Like the wins are gonna get there. I'm not gonna say he's gonna figure it out because obviously the kid's fast and he's won races before. It's just he's getting to that next step, that racecraft, that knowledge that you can't pay for, that you can only go out there and learn on the racetrack, and he'll get there, but the 32 did 32 things, and that probably didn't help nothing neither. Whenever you're leading a race and the 32's chomping at the bit, and that is the fastest car in the country behind you, it's going to make you, if anybody's going to make you make a mistake, it's going to be that 32 car. And maybe let it rattle him a little bit, and that's what happened. But at the end of the day, man, that Troutman, he's got a bright future ahead, and I know we've talked about him several times on here, and that he can get all of it out of any car he races, man. And it's great to see him running well and doing good for that GR Smith team.
To completely round this show out before we get out of here, meant to mention this earlier. Late models Turbo scored $25,000 win at Mississippi Thunder on Friday, and Nick Hoffman scored 30,000 on Saturday night at Mississippi Thunder. It was originally scheduled to be 75,000 a win, and they made a really cool move, man, to make it 25 Friday and 30 on Saturday, and had a nice payout throughout the field. Bob Tim and the gang over there at Mississippi Thunder Speedway in Fountain City, Wisconsin, have really got something special going on, man. Really, really sweet racetrack. I know it's a long ways away, but if you ever have the opportunity to go up there and watch a race, go do it. They got 100,000 to win modified race this year that's going to be live on both Racing Dirt and Flow Racing. So you'll have another opportunity to see it yet again this season. So congratulations to those guys. It's good to see Hoffman get his first outlaw win of the year, and Turbo also getting his first outlaw win in a while, man. And he came out tonight, set quick time at LaSalle. So we'll keep an eyes on Hoffman and Turbo going forward as well. Looks like they found a little bit of speeds for the old Rocket Camp for Turbo, and Hoffman's. I think he's found something too, man. He's sitting second in outlaw points. You want to add on that before we wrap this baby up?
He Yeah, I was just gonna say, the Tyler Erb, the fun tours paid off for him, man. You can tell his outlook on racing and
Yeah.
everything about it. He's living, enjoying life, and he's loving every minute of it. And Hoffman, I know where everybody's probably sitting here writing a check to Pearson this points deal, and he definitely hasn't showed that he's slowed down any. But this Hoffman's definitely proved that this past weekend at Mississippi Thunder, and even tonight, man, Hoffman had a really good run. I don't think that nine's gonna let the 32 get too far out, and if that 32 gets to struggling any weekends here in these dog days of summer, that Hoffman's going to be right there to jump at the bit.
Yeah, and I want to add to that Nick Hoffman last year, I feel like he didn't win the championship, obviously, and Pierce ended up running them back down, and neither one of them ended up winning the title, but they were second and third in points respectively. And I think Nick really wants to race it out with Bobby down to the wire this year, and that's one thing you're not going to get in NASCAR. That's what you get on the Outlaws or the Lucas Oil. Well, maybe not on Lucas all the way because they reset their field, but uh, uh, you get a true points champion, man, and I love it. I dig it. So it'll be interesting to watch that go down to the wire because Nick Hoffman beat 32 fair and square this past weekend. He had a late race restart to potentially have a shot at 32 or have a shot at the 9, and 32 came up lame or came up short. I'm not gonna say lame. That's rude. But
Yeah.
anyway, but guess what? Guess what he did? So the night before, I text you. I said Bobby Pierce just finished third Friday night at Mississippi Thunder, and he said we were really really bad. I was like, dude, that's wild to think that you're running third against that field of cars and you come away from it thinking you suck. You know what I mean? Like that's how good his program is right now. Well,
Yeah.
he came back and finished second the other night, and then he gets one spot better and kicks. He came out and he kicked their ass tonight. Congrats to 32 once again.
32 doing 32 things. That's all there
Yeah.
is to it. Until he gets dethroned, it's 32 doing 32 things.
Yeah, 20 RT rolled towards the front as well. But that's a wrap on tonight's program, ladies and gentlemen. We thank y'all for tuning in and watching all the way to this point. If you have, I know I ventured off there a few times, but hey, that's why we're here, folks. We're here to talk, and we're here to talk a lot about racing and whatever happens and whatever comes on the mind. And if you don't like what I said, I really don't give a damn. But I also love you and I care. All right, love you, people. Y'all have a best night.
Later.